YouTube doesn't respect animation or anything that can be seen as remotely kiddie, even when the content itself is blatantly not meant for kids. And it's ruining the platform. Walk with me. Recently, the trailer for Adventure Time Fionna and Cake got restricted by YouTube. They're not so reliable bots flagging it as made for kids, thus disabling the comments and hindering its reach on YouTube. Now, some of you may be wondering what the problem is. Adventure Time is a kids show, right? And while I could get into semantics and do my usual spiel about how a lot of these shows are written for all ages, and Adventure Time was clearly intended for a more teenage audience, they were airing reruns at like 10 a.m. at a Saturday morning during its peak. Obviously, a lot of kids watched Adventure Time. I'm not gonna argue that the OG series isn't a kid show. The problem here is, Fionna and Cake really isn't a kid show. It's confirmed to be TV-14, the same rating as a lot of other adult animated series. Futurama, Family Guy, Venture Bros, Harley Quinn, the list goes on. And although this trailer is pretty tame in terms of what it has to offer, I think this doesn't bode well for the future because odds are, this is just gonna happen again with clips of the show. And like, there's a clip going around from Comic-Con that I won't show because it leaked, but it involves Finn saving Simon from a giant monster and things get pretty bloody pretty quick. And people who saw the first episode at Comic-Con did confirm they swear pretty casually in the show. So the idea of clips featuring any of that getting marked as kids content and winding up on the kids app because the algorithm has a bias sounds pretty messy. But that bias didn't come out of nowhere. It's no secret that a lot of people view animation as a childish medium. Ever since I was like 10, adults would always see me minding my business, enjoying some SpongeBob or Ed, Edd n Eddy, and felt the need to interject with their own biases.
Aren't you a little too old to be watching cartoons?
Aren't you a little too old to be wearing wigs that look like they were on Salad Party City? Fuck you, Aunt Olga! And clearly this mentality affected other kids my age, because I remember going into the 6th grade, and pretty much the only shows my peers would talk about were Jersey Shore, Teen Mom, and anything else on MTV. Keep in mind, we were 11. Now don't get me wrong, a lot of them still watch kids sitcoms like iCarly or Hannah Montana, and had no problem talking about them with me because they knew I was a huge TV nerd. But if I mentioned anything animated, they would look at me like I grew a second head. Of course, there were exceptions like Family Guy or SpongeBob, the same shows that have immunity today. But otherwise, yeah, Toon Talk was not socially acceptable back then. And that was 100% because animation was and still is stigmatized. Fast forward to now, and I'll see those same peers share those Facebook posts that are like, I miss the old Cartoon Network, with pictures of like Chowder and Regular Show. And I can feel middle school me salty that they kept their love for these shows a secret back then. This is just a really long-winded way of saying, the average show looks down on animation and has for decades. Unless a show is very in your face with its adult content or holds nostalgic value, people will immediately look at it as dumbed down entertainment. And those biases have shaped the algorithm in a post-COPA world. After all, algorithms are trying to learn our preferences and our biases. For those in need of a recap, 3 years ago, YouTube finally cracked down on all the creepy kids content on the platform, but in the process, overcorrected a bit. When you post a video, you have to mark it as either made for kids or not made for kids. Simple stuff. What's not so simple is that YouTube's bots can look at a video marked not for kids and go,
Actually, it is made for kids.
And once your video is marked as made for kids, comments are restricted, it won't have as wide of a reach, and from what I hear, the ad revenue won't be as good. The video is basically kneecapped. And when this big change was instated 3 years ago, a lot of TV networks on YouTube like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon got hit because of course a lot of their shows skew Y7. But even back then it was complicated and felt really unfair because of the comment section. That's half the fun of YouTube, especially when it comes to media. We lost a sense of community. Gone are the days of reminiscing in the comments section of the Billy and Mandy theme song at 1 a.m. with other people mourning their childhood because bills and taxes are really scary and suck to deal with. And then there's the fact that a lot of the shows airing on channels like Cartoon Network at the time were truly being viewed by all ages. Not just kids, but mainly teens and adults, which was reflected in how those shows were rated. TV PG. Hell, My Adventures with Superman, which airs on Adult Swim, is often rated TV PG-V, on top of being a blatantly horny show. And yet, all of the videos on the Adult Swim channel get marked as kids content. Now yes, the show is pretty lighthearted, but there's no denying that that's still screwed up. People used to click on clips and trailers of these shows and theorize what would happen next in the comments, or leave really thoughtful paragraphs about why a moment in the show meant so much to them. And these channels were leaning into the fact that they were being watched by an older demographic. I'ma keep it a buck. They weren't posting Steven Universe panels for the 9-year-old fans of the show. I imagine most of them just cared about the sneak peeks that were shown at the cons, and those usually got posted as their own videos anyway. Nickelodeon didn't start an empire of Avatar content for the kiddos. They started it for the teens and adults who throw on those videos in the background while they draw. But you know, it is what it is. It sucks we lost years upon years worth of comments on all these videos, but that's not my real beef here. My beef here is that adult animation, an animation that's intended for anyone, gets marked for kids, wiping out discussion, hurting the video's performance, and ultimately exposing kids to content they're not meant to see, which defeats the purpose of YouTube Kids in the first place. Like, I don't think the Fionna and Cake trailer is gonna warp some 5-year-old's mind, but I tweeted about the whole debacle, and what prompted this video were the replies pointing out content that has no business being anywhere near the kids label getting hit. A lot of angsty, gore-fueled My Little Pony fan animations like Cupcakes HD were affected when this change first rolled out a few years ago. Balena Productions, an incredible 3D animator who makes Sonic content, pretty much has all of their videos marked for kids against their will because it's Sonic. Of course it's for kids. It's not like there's millions of adults who grew up with the franchise or anything. They gave Shadow a strap! Come on! Edbound is a creator who makes Lego animations that kinda play out like Robot Chicken sketches. These videos swear they have a viewer advisory, and yet he still struggles with uploads getting hit with that Made for Kids label. South Park and Family Guy clips are still prone to getting hit to this day. Futurama clips from the new season are getting hit. Officially posted by Hulu, has never been a kids show hit with the Made for Kids label. Yeah, I'm sure soccer moms are gonna love their kids quoting Bender. Green Lantern First Flight, a PG-13 movie, but oh, it's animated, so it's made for kids. Philaday, a 1994 adult animated mystery film. Rated TVMA in the States, made for kids. Pixar, wait, why the hell do they get to keep their comments? They're not restricted? Seriously? That mouse money runs deep, I see how it is, Google. Even outside the realm of animation, creators like Max Mofo have an uphill battle with his Pokemon channel. Because it's Pokemon, it must be for kids, right? Never mind the fact that Max's content is like watching every Adult Swim show at the same time. It's fine, Pokemans! This shit is actively ruining YouTube as a whole, impacting the livelihoods and morale of multiple creators. All because they let some dumbass robot steer the ship. A robot trained off biases. What makes all of this comical to me is that at the end of the day, it's fucking over the kids app too. We had to dive into the trenches for this video just to see what slipped through the cracks. And while it wasn't the wasteland I was expecting, some of these fines are still pretty egregious. First off, strange that YouTube proper doesn't have a section spotlighting animation, but YouTube Kids does. Almost as if they don't see any value in the medium at all, despite the abundance of animated projects bringing in revenue every day. But beyond that, we found Solar Opposites, Rick and Morty, and even a clip from MODOK. Fucking MODOK! 30 seconds of that show could permanently alter a kid's brain chemistry. I'm lucky these robots haven't really gotten to my videos, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna just sit around and lollygag while other creators get the short end of the stick. So with that being said, YouTube, the system doesn't work! Get off your asses and do something about it! Give the system a complete overhaul. Train your precious little robots to comprehend that animation isn't innately kiddie. And for God's sake, please just whitelist channels like Adult Swim and Hulu so that clips for their own shows don't get hit. Ya goofies? And you know what? While I'm already speaking my mind, I'm just gonna say it. Give Shadow his pistol back. It's funny!
So yeah, that's really about it.
See ya.